We are live for WWE Crown Jewel 2024 match card and predictions. The Bloodline are back together for a six-man tag team match, the OGs. But has it been rushed? Is it too soon? Will Roman and Co, that's right, with Jimmy and Jey overcome Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu? Which three members will be going against the OTC? Of course, as well, Sami Zayn was having discussions with Solo on Raw, so that'll be interesting to talk about as well. But I'm really interested to get Silk's view on whether it's been rushed or not. But this is the big match that's been added just last night on Monday Night Raw. Elsewhere in the show, which we'll be talking about as well, for the Crown Jewel Championship, we've got Cody Rhodes taking on Gunther. That's right, the undisputed WWE Champion against the World Heavyweight Champion. As well as that, it will happen for the women as well. Women's World Champion Liv Morgan going against WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax, also for the Crown Jewel Championship match, who will be the Ultimate Champion in WWE. The women's tag team titles are on the line in a fatal four-way. The champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair will be taking on Damage Control, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, as well as Lash Legend and Jakira Jackson. We've got the United States Championship on the line. We've got LA Knight defending against Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. We've got Seth Freakin Rollins going against Big Bronson Reed. And the first match we'll be talking about on the stream today will be Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Welcome to the stream, NXT. Thank you for being on board with me as always. And thanks to everyone that's watching as well. Feel free to join in with your predictions throughout the show. We'll get all the best comments up on the screen as well. But as always, when we do these, NXT, your excitement levels for Crown Jewel, please.
I mean, yeah, I'm quietly reserved. I'd say probably a 6. Like, I'm expecting... I don't know, this is a really hard one to call because it's. I reckon it's going to be a mixture of some decent wrestling, but also some pretty interesting story beats for whatever's going to happen in the future.
I mean, there's a lot more on the line than it was when this first started. I think about 4 weeks ago when we just heard these champion versus champion matches, everyone, oh, Survivor Series is back with its, 2010s format of Raw versus SmackDown, champion versus champion. And since then, I mean, we have had, I think, some good matches added to the card. I mean, not to say those matches aren't going to be good. I think Cody versus Gunther is going to be amazing. I think Liv and Nia will do a good job as well. However, when you've got Bloodline involved here, the six-man tag team match, although the question does come out, is it rushed? We'll be answering that in the main event of the stream. At the same time, we got matches like Big Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. They've been killing it with their feud on Monday Night Raw. KO and Randy Orton also has been interesting on SmackDown also. So there's some good matches on this show, and it's a 7-match card here, which is something Triple H doesn't do for many of the PLEs. Must make it feel like Crown Jewel is seen as one of the bigger shows, whether some people do or don't like that. But we'll go then for a number out of 10. You said was 6 out of 10. For me, I'm going to go and say a 7 out of 10. I do think that I think the card looks strong. So yeah, all in all, quite happy. But what match are you most looking forward to?
I mean, Cody versus Gunther, although it's a pointless match, I think the idea of a Cody Gunther match just sounds interesting. In terms of story, though, I can't really go against the Bloodline match because obviously there's a lot to ride on that. But even Randy KO, like you said, the card is really good, really stacked. It's just, I don't know, like I said, the two Crown Jewel matches, like the Crown Jewel Championship matches, are like, I have my feelings on them, and it's kind of like, I think these are more of a showcase. Like, I'm expecting, especially at the women's, I'm probably expecting a major story beat, but I think the men's one is just going to be a good wrestling match.
Yeah, I think you could be onto something there. There could be a story beat that could kick into the men's match. We'll get more into that as we go into those matches. But I'm with you, Cody versus Gunther. It's a match that for me, those two were the final of the Royal Rumble in 2023. Had a great sort of back and forth showcase for about 5-10 minutes before Gunther was eliminated from the match. And I just thought when they did that, I was like, I really want to see a Cody versus Gunther match one day. I didn't dream it would take place for a Crown Jewel Championship, but certainly I think it's going to be a fun one when we get round to it. But as a sleeper pick, because I agree with the Bloodline, but as a sleeper pick as well, I think Seth versus Bronson Reed has got all the potentials of being a killer match as well. But let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it, shall we? Let's get on with our first match of the stream then. So let's talk about Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Two very good friends, seemingly turned enemies. Now, arguably, a lot of this is at the fault, you could say, of one Cody Rhodes, because, of course, Randy was good friends with Cody. He was good friends with Randy Orton as well. And, of course, when Roman Reigns made his return to WWE, Cody seemingly went back and teamed with Roman Reigns, despite after all the times being rivals. And Kevin Owens just couldn't wrap his head around it. He found very confused by the situation. He remained quiet for quite a period of time, but then, of course, after Bad Blood, we got a very unique thing from WWE. A heel turn was done, but it wasn't on camera. In fact, the way that they did it is they kind of more or less told people to be in the parking lot. People were filming, and they caught the action on camera, and it was posted on social media, with WWE then looking to deny it for a little while and then finally having to acknowledge it on TV a couple of weeks later. Of course, when KO did find his way to be on TV to try and give some form of explanation, it led to a bit of an altercation with Cody and KO, something that probably is going to fall out when we go into Survivor Series season. However, Randy tried to break it up, and of course, he's always said, look, I can talk to Kevin, I can sort things out. Well, instead, it ended up with a situation where Randy was trying to pull KO back, and KO pretty much elbowed Randy in the face. Randy didn't take too kindly to that because, well, who likes an elbow to the face? Randy clocked KO one for sure. And of course, it led to another parking lot brawl. KO attacking Randy Orton out in the back. And of course, that led to Randy wanting a match with Kevin Owens. And of course, at that point, Triple H said, I'm not booking that. Nick Aldis also said he wasn't booking it. But of course, when talking to Triple H, I should say Paul Levesque, Randy Orton wanted to talk to Triple H, really. He said, look, ultimately, I think you're protecting Kevin Owens. I know he's always been your guy. So just come on, do me a solid, give us the match. And Triple H said, look, you think I'm doing it to protect Kevin Owens? I'm not. I'm doing it to protect you. You were on the shelf for 18 months. I finally got you back. You told you were never going to wrestle ever again, but yet here you are. And now you want Kevin Owens, who someone seems a bit twisted in the head. Almost feels like he's giving an explanation on KO's behalf as well, as saying that he felt his friendships that he's actually seriously had with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes have been let down. For me, I think it's really great storyline narrative that goes into this. Randy Orton's got what he wished for, and Triple H just told him to be careful for him. And Nick, Steve, your thoughts on the build here for Randy Orton and Kevin Owens?
First of all, it's nice to see Kevin Owens is keeping the NXT parking lot alive by bringing that over to every parking lot. So that's always a plus to see. Dude, I'm the same as you. The story that they've done with this turn and how they've tried to make it different from every other heel turn, and the fact that they have Triple H saying that Kevin isn't the bad guy, like he's the good guy in this story. You're the ones that have treated him wrong. I think it's genius. I think it's so good. And I'm really like, there's so many small stories at the minute in WWE that I'm really waiting for the big payoff. This is one of them. Obviously, Kofi Xavier Woods is another one. And there's a few more scattered throughout the brands. Like, they're just giving you these little tasters of what they're going to do and how they plan on doing it. And like I said, they're starting off with this match in Saudi Arabia. It's a solid match to start with. I just really like the way that they're delivering Kevin Owens. The fact that they're making it almost seem like they're making it really personal, and it's not something we're really used to seeing. Like I said, it's KO being like, "You are my friend, and you're the ones that have done me dirty." And the way that they've produced it, and like, I just think it's a really ingenious way of doing it. I'm really, like I said, really looking forward to this story and like how it's going to develop, how it's going to bring Cody into the situation. I mean, if my WrestleMania prediction comes true, that'll be nice as well, with a triple threat between the three of them for that heavyweight championship. It may be sooner than WrestleMania, but I just like the idea that there's a possibility of that, and like there's no definitive outcome with this story, which is, I think, is another really exciting thing, because there's so many times before where we've seen predictability with how we think this story is going to play out, and it's like Kevin Owens is, like, everyone wants Kevin Owens to be world champion, but the fact that he's on a brand where you've got Cody who's your champion, Cody is your champion because he's on SmackDown, isn't he? I'm not wrong there, yeah. And it's kind of like, we've said previously, like, who is the next person to take that championship off of Cody? I mean, we've teased that it may be The Rock, but the fact that they've done this story and it's dropping hints to possibly Kevin Owens, and then obviously, hopefully, at some point they evolve that into possibly Randy Orton as well. Dude, this is some of the best storytelling. I'm loving it.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think you made some fantastic points in amongst that as well, because those little Easter eggs that you get is the genius of telling long-term stories in WWE. Sometimes to give everything very quickly. We'll come to that later. But obviously with this storyline, you can argue this has been going since WrestleMania this year, because these two were going against Logan Paul for the United States Championship earlier this year. And since then, it evolved into a friendship going against the new Bloodline, and they've worked their way through the summer. Now they've got to here, and now they're actually rivals at this point. Like you say, the flip of the switch there, that is, in KO's head, he's the good guy, really, but he's going to do some bad things if he gets the opportunity. And I think that's what's going to make this story quite fun, because you said there about the triple threat match there that you had the idea for WrestleMania, Cody versus Randy versus KO, certainly could happen sooner. I originally suggested Survivor Series, and this is where we start getting into predictions, because I'm actually going to change that prediction. I don't think it's going to be a triple threat Survivor Series anymore, because I'm going to go for a Kevin Owens victory, and I'm actually going to say that Randy Orton should have been careful what he wished for. You mentioned the idea of KO bringing the NXT parking lot to the main roster. I think the prize fighter brings something else back. Remember, Randy Orton's had problems with that back. I think the powerbomb to the apron is coming back in, and I think that is going to take Randy Orton and put him on the shelf. The question is, does KO win the match, or does he lose the match to become unhinged to do this move? That's probably the big thing that I take from it. But I'm going to say Kevin Owens wins on the basis that I think he will take on Cody Rhodes at Survivor Series in the singles match, and it will lead Randy Orton to have to return later. I'll say the Royal Rumble. Then you can start building Randy versus KO, a revenge match for WrestleMania. And once you've got through that, that's when Randy Orton can say, look, I've been on the shelf again. And yes, it was Kevin Owens, but you know what, Cody? It was all your fault. And we can start the Randy versus Cody feud immediately after WrestleMania.
I do really like the sound of it. It's like this, like I said, there's so many ways that this story can spin off and how it can play out. I mean, I'm the same as you. I think KO is going to win, but even if he loses, I still think he gets that match with Cody Rhodes, because, like, it's no. I think you're right. He probably needs to win it more for the basis that Randy's done him wrong, Cody's done him wrong. We need that, but either way, I think this still works. You're saying to this story going back to WrestleMania. Let's be fair, this story kind of goes back even longer than that, because you got to think Cody's only been in the company 2.5 years, and you kind of have to tie all that stuff in with the Bloodline into this story as well. You have to then tie KO's stuff into the Bloodline. That goes back like 4 years.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff to tie into this, and it's one of the like I said, the best sort of slow build stories that they're doing at the minute, and I'm really fascinated by it.
It's just interesting because it feels like the whole thing with the Bloodline story, it's like a Marvel series, isn't it? The way it's gone through all these different carnations, movies, heel turns, twists, turns, everything like that. But then you have these sub characters that have been playing their part in it. KO has been feuding with the Bloodline for 4 years, and like you say, now he's seemingly not going to do it anymore for the time being, turning on the people that have seemingly aligned with them. I mean, imagine what happens when Sami Zayn goes back. How's that going to crush him?
Wow. Exactly. And like, yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, that's a great shout. Wow, I didn't even think of that. So like, KO Sami could still be a possibility for Mania as well, depending on what happens. That's amazing. There's so much to come from this, man. I'm really looking forward to it. Ultimately, for me, it has to end with KO getting that title at some point. But I mean, at the minute, it's not necessarily about the title. So even if he doesn't win, it doesn't matter really, like the title in the long term. But I really hope that they go back to putting that that WWE Championship on him again at some point.
I would love to see it at some point down the line. So I will say, just because of the fact I think he'll get a championship match at Survivor Series, and I think he'll put Randy on the shelf, I'm going to say KO wins, but there is a slight part of me that thinks Randy might win the match and KO just does the take Randy out afterwards. That way he makes the statement, and that way he gets the championship match through that way, because obviously Cody's friend is now on the shelf, and perhaps Cody might even feel a bit of guilt for that. Oh, I'm talking myself into one to change that prediction already. This is the first match here of the card, everybody. Thanks to Noob, by the way. Noob, hope you're doing well. Thanks for your comment. Hope you're keeping well. NXT, put my mind to rest. What way should I be swinging here?
Dude, KO has to win, really. Like the way you say it out, and the fact that it makes sense for him to bring back that powerbomb to the apron, and the fact to put Randy out, it's almost like they've foretold it now that you say it, and it's kind of like that's what I'm doing. I'm going with KO winning this one.
I'm going to say KO as well, but like I say, this is a 50-50. Anything can happen here with this one, but one thing's for sure, Randy's leaving on the stretcher.
If Randy wins, it's going to be via DQ anyway. So either way, Randy's not walking out of the building.
Put it this way. This is how we're going to sort of solidify this prediction. When these two walk out, only one of them's going to walk out. And whether he wins or loses, he's going to look like the winner. And that'll be Kevin Owens. Randy Orton ain't walking out on Crown Jewel. So that way, he's going
Absolutely.
to look like the loser. So there we go. That's how we're going to sum that one up. But I'd say that's match one. I'm looking forward to diving into the rest of this because this is a sleeper feud that I've been really enjoying. It's Seth freaking Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed. Now, can someone say 6 tsunamis for me? Because I'll tell you what, I'll talk about a way to get Bronson Reed on the map. Because, I mean, Big Bronson Reed returned to WWE in 2022. And, I mean, he even said in his interview with Chris Van Vliet, it did feel a bit lackluster. We've been waiting for the right time. There's been sort of moments where Bronson Reed's done some good work, but I tell you what, the last 3 months of him on WWE TV, he's almost become must see. He's almost become like someone that's growing into a main event overnight. And obviously, this is his first real big opportunity on a premium live event to go against Seth freaking Rollins, the guy he put out in August as well. Like I said, with the 6 tsunamis, he's gone on to have, last monster standing with Braun Strowman, which has been a lot of fun. He's taken out R-Truth. He's caused probably the Awesome Truth to get broken up as well by destroying the Miz also. Bronson Reed's been doing some killer work right now. We've been throwing fans at people at one point, which was a lovely, fun, viral moment from WWE. But of course, I mentioned that last monster standing match, and that's where Seth made his return, hit the curb stomp on Bronson Reed as the moment it was 9 on the count. So Bronson ended up losing the match against Braun Strowman. And these two have kind of been inseparable since. Every time there's been a Raw, there's been a scuffle, there's been a brawl. It's been inside the arena, it's been outside the arena. And let's be fair, it's been pretty fun to see. Adam Pearce has enjoyed the chaos, but has not enjoyed the idea that Seth Rollins has spent most of the year injured. Didn't really want to give him this match, but Rollins has got his wish. He's got the match. However, he did get kind of a Death Valley driver from a production truck through what let's be fair, with some boxes, but was pretty much looked like some tables and equipment on Monday Night Raw, giving Bronson Reed the advantage going into the PLE. Will that be a factor, though, when it comes to the result?
I mean, it's always the way with WWE, and it's normally who stands tall ends up losing the weekend. I think, though, if they want to keep Seth busy until Punk's return, I think Bronson Reed wins this. I think if they want to build Bronson Reed, he needs to beat Seth Rollins. Ultimately, at the end of the day, regardless of story and narrative, the whole idea is that he's supposed to be putting himself in there as a main eventer, and to be that main eventer, you need to beat main event guys. So, I mean, I'm probably going to regret it come Saturday night, but I'm still going to say Bronson Reed wins. I think he needs that win more.
I think he needs that win more, and I'm going to emphasize Big Bronson Reed there needs to be put on the screen because that's his name now in WWE. I think that you're onto something there. If you wanted to get him to the next level, he needs a big win. He didn't beat Braun Strowman, so he needs to beat someone else. He needs to beat a Seth Rollins. However, I can't go past the old cliche. I think that Seth is going to win this one, but I don't think the feud's done. I think this is going to go 3 rounds, and I think that Bronson will get his win in match 2. And the big question will be, can he actually win the feud? But like you said, Rollins waiting for Punk to come back. I don't think that that's going to kick in until probably January time. So I imagine Rollins will win the feud that can push him then onto the Royal Rumble.
I think with this one, you could even have Seth lose this feud. For instance, do you know what I mean? Have them go in 1-1, go to the last match. You could even have Bronson win the final match, or have Bronson win the first 2 matches, have Seth win the last one, and just lose the feud overall before you move him on to Punk. There's no harm in having Seth Rollins lose this feud as long as he picks up a win at some point if they're going to do like a best of 3 matches, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. He would need to if they do a best of 3. I will say that this will conclude at Saturday night's main event in December. And I think you'll get a big stipulation added to that final match between the two. But just before we go, we've got a comment here from Noob says Bronson Reed is winning. So a lot of love for Bronson Reed. I just want to get your quick thoughts on Big Bronson Reed. Obviously, I've been singing the praises there, but I do want to give a chance to ask you the question if you've been enjoying his work the last few months as well and what it can lead to.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's what he needed. He's needed a big story. Like, he has just been doing. What was he doing? Wasn't he like Miz's bodyguard when he initially returned to the company? And it's kind of like he's been a bit lackluster, and this is his first real interesting story. And dude, he's doing all the right things. He's making all the right moves. They probably maybe need to give him some more promo time. Because at the minute he's all actions and no, do you know what I mean? He's all bite and no bark. And I'm like, if you're gonna want to make him a big star, he needs to start showing them mic skills as well. He needs to be able to be convincing on the microphone. And like I said, I suppose we get the wrestling out of the way first, and we work on the mic skills later. But they're doing all the right things to make him a big star.
Certainly, indeed. It'll be interesting to see what will happen then with Seth Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed when it comes to this show. If you enjoyed the video so far, hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. Share your predictions with us also. Let's go into match 3 then, shall we? For the United States Championship, we've got LA Knight, going against Andrade and against Carmelo Hayes. Now, of course, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade have been doing a best of 7 series. Of course, they have been. The NBCA season has just started. Let's go Knicks. But at the same time, also, when we got to Game 7, LA Knight was made the special guest referee because he's faced both of these guys in singles matches for the US title and has beaten both of them. And for some reason, LA Knight decided to be a bit heelish, I would say. He kind of ruined the 7th match. Everyone's been enjoying this series. I think this was probably a bit of a mistake in the booking, if I'm being brutally honest, because LA Knight didn't come out with smelling of roses at the end of that. And like I said, even with the GM, he looks stupid because obviously now he's in the triple threat match for this championship on this show. And I mean, triple threat match is a good way to lose a title without being pinned or submitted.
Yeah, I mean, it does give you that foreboding feeling that he will drop this title via no fault of his own. The interesting part is I don't know who's going to go over because, like you said, the thing he just done last week on SmackDown is a very heelish tactic. Carmelo is very heelish. Andrade's kind of like, I don't really know how Andrade is being portrayed at the minute. So the outcome is like this is the hardest one for me because I've got no real clue because I don't know where the long-term story is for it. I don't know if it's a case of these 3 go again for the United States title or something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's really hard to tell at the minute. And I think the problem is like LA Knight is still kind of over as well at the minute. So I don't know if they've done enough to build, for example, Carmelo up to take that title off of him, or do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's the right stipulation. Like this, obviously, it's just the safest bet if you want to take that championship off LA Knight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you say, it's a safe place to do so, but it's a location as well that's been very big, heavy with the LA Knight support as well. Obviously, remember the Saudi shows before LA Knight got that big push, they were chanting for his name. I personally think when I look back at that Brooklyn last week, I think that they're trying to give a Steve Austin kind of way of like, let's just have him where he stuns everybody, kind of what Austin would do back in the day, and everyone will love it. Yeah. But actually, people have really enjoyed the series, so it kind of ruined Game 7. It's just like, well, we need to do this again now. So, yeah, there is an opportunity where I think that Andrade and Carmelo could cancel each other out and go in and have a, dare I say, overtime. It could be a situation of how they build that match to do one more time. But I want to just be a little bit daring with this prediction because the safe bet is LA Knight. But you said about Carmelo Hayes, he did put AJ Styles on the shelf. He has had some big matches with certain superstars like Cody Rhodes. He has gone through this best of 7 series with Andrade. I think it's the right time to test the waters and see what he's like with the United States Championship in WWE. And if it doesn't quite click the way they want it to, he can drop it back to LA Knight in a month or 2.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of the rest of the card and how results are going to go. I think for me, I'm going to stick with LA Knight. I think that this is the crowd. Like, I completely forgot how much he's loved over there. So that's kind of helped me make my decision. I'm going to say LA Knight wins because I think that this is the crowd-pleasing moment of the night for the Saudi crowd. So I'm going to say LA Knight retains.
Interesting stuff indeed there. Like I said, I would not be surprised if he's not had the title that long, so I mean for him to drop it. But the beauty of this as well is when you look back at the moment with the recent matches when Jey Uso won the IC title, he lost the IC title back to Braun Breaker. We can have some hot potato switches. We can have some quick changes. So for me, I think that makes things more exciting again in WWE because every match feels less predictable. And this match now, all of a sudden, becomes really unpredictable in my opinion. So yeah, it's great to see. You've gone for LA Knight. I've gone for Carmelo Hayes. Let's see how it plays out. And Noobs give his prediction as well. Either Andrade or Melo doesn't think LA Knight will be walking out as United States champion.
I think Andrade is essential in this match to take that pinfall.
I do as well. I think
that's unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Waiting for Charlotte Flair to return. I think then we get the power couple. And that's where we might start seeing Andrade being built in WWE. That's what I want to see anyway. Let's move on to the women's tag team championships in the fatal four, where we got Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defending against Io Sky and Kairi Sane of Damage Control. And of course, it's Kairi's 1 year anniversary back in WWE. We've got Chelsea Green, sorry, I can't do it like Samantha Irvin, and Piper Niven, and we've got Lash Legend and Jakira Jackson. This is really cool, really, in a way, because obviously all these teams, we've got one from Raw, one from SmackDown, one from NXT, gunning for the women's tag team championships. It's really cool to see. Io and Kairi more or less made themselves number one contenders, but of course, when everyone's sort of pretty much everyone's had matches with Jade and Bianca, but every other time that's happened, the champions have retained, but everyone else has kind of got involved and cost everybody else the match. So it's kind of fun to sort of throw everybody together and say, look, we've got 4 teams involved. Let's see how it's going to go. Ironically, Jade and Bianca are kind of cool with having 4 teams here involved in this match, but forgetting they lost the last time they were in a multi-team match. That was a Clash of the Castle to Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. So will Lightning strike twice? Is this the place they drop the titles again? Is it their weakness being where they don't have to be pinned in the match?
Very possible. Like, I'm hoping, like, it depends on if this is going to be a tornado tag style match, or if it's a case of we've got one in from every team, like at the same time. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they're going to lose the titles again, because I mean, again, depending on what they want to do for WrestleMania with Jade and Bianca, like, is the tag team titles at WrestleMania big enough for them? I don't think so. I think personally that you're going to be looking at new champions here in Lash Legend and Jakira Jackson. I think that they've been building those guys really well, having them come over to Raw, come over to SmackDown, having them get involved in other tag team title matches. I think they're going to give these guys a short run with the tag team titles. I think that they've earned it, man. Like, they've been doing so well in almost a transitional period kind of way, trying to see how they do on the main roster, that if they can give them these tag team titles, plus it's another way for NXT to bring main roster stars down to NXT to get them on there so that they can bump up them viewerships again for NXT.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you've made a really compelling argument, and I've got to say, I was kind of tempted to do the same result, just purely because, like you say, Lash and Jakira, they kind of got pulled out from out of nowhere, really, to come onto SmackDown, and they've been on Raw and SmackDown a couple of times since. They haven't really gone back to NXT since. Is this the call-up? And obviously, I like this idea. It's almost like a proving ground for them at the moment. They've kind of been, if you want, loaned to the main roster and see how they fare. And it's great exposure for them as well to the mainstream audience of WWE fandom. Do you think they've cut it well, and they deserve this reward of the women's tag team titles?
I mean, the tag team title, it's not like the other two. It's not like Damage Control and Chelsea Green and Piper need them. They've had them. So it's not like they've got anything to gain from it by having those titles. Whereas I think that, man, you should always be rewarded for hard work. And the fact that do you know what I mean? They've put in the work recently. They've gone to every show. They've performed well as well. It's not like they've performed badly. Like, even when they're not in the matches and they're just sitting in the crowd, they've done some good offensive stuff to just be involved in it in general. And I think, you know what, why not, man? Throw the tag team titles on them. It's not like it's like the most heavily contested division. Like, yes, obviously we had the tag team titles defended quite a lot in the women's division, but it's not like it's their main story focus point. Like, this is probably the most interesting story they've had in a long time when it comes to these tag team titles. So, I don't know, man. I would say, yeah, give it to them, man. Let them have a chance with it. Like, let them go down to NXT and defend them against, I don't know, I'm trying to think who's on the NXT. It's the tag team in the women's division. But do you know what I mean? They're just giving the opportunity to go around the brands again. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe something like a Fatal Influence. Maybe they're starting to get some gold amongst that collection, aren't they? But interesting comment from Noob here. First time NXT talent competing in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, that's a coup as well for them to have a notch on the CV there. But yeah, I mean, I was tempted, like I said, to go with Lash Legend, Jakira Jackson, to go for it, but I am going to stick with the champions to retain, similar to what Noob has done as well here, suggesting that it will be Chelsea Green and Piper Niven probably eating the pinfall. I think Chelsea Green's the one that gets pinned here on this show, but I've said previously...
Chelsea Green can take 100 pins and it will never affect her.
No, never will affect her, never will.
She's got that ability.
My heart wants Damage Control to win this match. However, I will say that Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, I believe that if they didn't do the pop in Scotland to give the titles to Alba and Isla Dawn, which is what they did, they wanted to have the Scottish crowd and that to have a break for the women's tag team titles, I think they would have held them the whole calendar year, if I'm honest. And I think they would have dropped them around Royal Rumble. That's when you start Jade versus Bianca for WrestleMania. So for that reason, for me, I'm actually going to turn around and say that I think that Bianca and Jade are going to hold these titles for a couple of months more. And then when they realize they can't win the titles back the second time round, that's when the friction really kicks in for WrestleMania. So I think it's just slightly too early at this point for those titles to be dropped. However, I think a style of match like this is perfect when they eventually do drop them.
See, remember what happened when we did predictions for Clash at the Castle? You said they were going to retain, and I said, no. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are going to win because you ain't having Piper win the women's title, and you ain't having Drew win the world title, so you need some Scottish talent to win something. I think this is going to be the only title change of the night. I think this is the one. That's why I said LA Knight retaining. This kind of makes more sense now that this is the title that they will change.
Interesting. Well, obviously, I've gone for a title change in the United States Championship scene. So for me, this is why I've gone for the title retain here. But who knows? It's going to be interesting to see. I like we've not got the same predictions going throughout this show. That makes this show less predictable. And I think that sometimes makes it a lot more fun as well. Noob says damage control not been the same since Asuka and Dakota Kai have been out due to injuries. Yeah, I mean it's more of a two-piece now, isn't it? It's a tag team rather than a stable at this point. Obviously not to the numbers and strength they were before, but I still like the idea of Io and Kairi as a tag team. They've always do really good work as well. Yeah. Sid asking, is there any matches you're not looking forward to watching? No, I'm looking forward to every match myself personally. NXT, is there any you're not looking forward to?
No, I can't say there's none I'm particularly looking forward to. Like I have an anticipation order. There's ones I want to see more than the others, but there's none I'm not. There's none that I'm going to sit there and go, right, toilet break time. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, indeed. Got who says Chelsea Green always the cannon fodder in every match. Yeah, she's. I mean, like you say, she doesn't get harmed if she loses every match either. If anything, it just adds to her character.
Exactly, and when she does win a women's title, it's going to be massive.
Absolutely not. And Kai, thank you for joining us, Kai. Thank you for Sid as well, and thank you for Noob. Not a fan of Jade Cargill is Kai. Believes that she's not a good wrestler and boring to watch. Fair enough. Each to their own. That's all I can say for that one.
Yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing it, Kai. But we'll move on in the meantime then. We start to get on to the champion versus champion matches. We're going to start with the women's side. Women's World Champion Liv Morgan going against WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax. And of course, the winner of this will not win the other's title. Instead, they win the WWE Crown Jewel Championship match. So they get their own Crown Jewel title. They have tried to do a bit of build with this one, but it's not really materialized too much, really. But I suppose the interesting note with this match is that both are heels. Liv Morgan, you could argue, is a bit of a weaker champion in presentation, but has strong backup in Raquel Rodriguez. Nia Jax, on the other hand, does get booked like a strong champion. She annihilates everybody. And she does have strong backup in Tiffany Stratton. But even though they are acting like besties, there is nervousness from Nia Jax that Tiffy will cash in on her. And obviously, as well, that has led to some mistakes and friction amongst that friendship, costing Nia a few matches recently. So I'm interested to see if Liv Morgan or Nia Jax will win this match. But Nia Jax has suggested that she will beat Liv Morgan in this match. And when she does that, she will leave it open for Tiffany Stratton to cash in on the Women's World Champion. For me, when it comes to builds, it's probably the most lackluster. However, I think it could have an exciting conclusion depending on what they do here at Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the hardest one to call because you can see it going either way.
Yeah.
I would like to think, like, I don't personally reckon we're going to get a cash in here. I think that, like I've said it so many times before, it's a Saudi Arabia show. Them kind of moments are never normally designed for these crowds because I could be wrong. You know, obviously the way that obviously women, I don't know what the whole deal is with Saudi Arabia and women's rights and stuff, but you know what I mean? Maybe a women's cash in a Saudi show is a big deal. I don't know. But I think, like, if you want the genuine crowd reaction or a crowd that will appreciate it more, I think it's saved for the States. Do you know what I mean? Or, like, do you know what I mean? And even a European crowd if they decide to do a show anywhere else. But I personally think that Liv is going to win this one because I think Liv needs it more. Like, especially the fact that she's got Raquel as backup, and Raquel's almost the negation for Nia Jax's power, and I think this is going to be a complete overbooked mess. I reckon as well. I can just see it going every which way from Sunday, and it will inevitably end up with Liv winning, and it will. I think it will tease the idea of Tiffany cashing in on Nia, because I think that is the long-term story, which is why I believe Liv is going to win.
To be fair, I don't think I can add much more onto this, really. I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head. I mentioned the backups for a reason, because I think they're going to be the deciding factors. I think that everyone's going to come to play in this one. It's not going to just be Liv versus Nia. If this is just Liv versus Nia, arguably Nia's going to squash her. There's no other way that this is going to go. However, now Raquel is in the picture. I think that it's going to be a bit different. I think there'll be some miscommunication with Tiffy. Like you said, is the idea of the cash-in. I think not. I think they're just going to strengthen this. I want to say bullying angle, which probably could maybe seem a bit unfair, but there is a sense that Nia is forcefully putting a point over that she will not be cashed in on by Tiffany. Of course, Tiffany has that briefcase as well, which is more like a handbag, sold out in WWE shop at the moment. Not that I've gone look for buying it myself, but just was morely interested the other day. So I did a video based on the fact that I think as long as she has that and it keeps selling on WWE shop, I think she's going to have a long reign with the briefcase. So the fact is at the moment that it's selling pretty darn well means for me that there's no excuse for WWE to cash that in as of yet. I think that's certainly got its market for a selling point of view. So I think Tiffany holds this for at least another month or two.
Yeah, I don't think Tiffany's at that point where she's an out-and-out babyface. You know what I mean? Like, the crowd obviously love her, and when she does cash in, she'll get that massive reaction that she's destined to get. But yeah, like you said, from a WWE shop perspective, they're still selling them briefcases. They will continue to sell them. She could even hold it all the way till Mania by the looks of it. Do you know what I mean? There's no end in sight at the minute for that briefcase. So that's why I think Liv wins. And like I said, I think they have to keep building this whole teasing angle. I could be really wrong, and we could really have Nia win, and but it just doesn't make sense, especially because I think the briefcase is ultimately the deciding factor in this match. If Nia wins, Tiffany has to cash in on Liv Morgan. I think. Do you know what I mean? The way it's supposed to be played out. So again, that's why I think Liv wins this one.
I mean, as well, Raquel then would have to be taken out as well. And let's not forget Dirty Dominic Mysterio. And if he's around as well, of course, a future World Heavyweight Championship contender, it feels, after this past week's Raw. I'm going to just throw out a wild prediction just for this match for funsies. I think Dominic's going to take an annihilator in this match.
I can probably see it happening as well, to be fair.
Let's go. We're going to both go Liv Morgan then as our prediction. We think there'll be a screw up with Nia and Tiffany, and we think no cash in will take place. So interesting stuff indeed. But let's get your views in the comments below. We've got a few comments that come flying in now as well. Hassan, thanks for joining us. Vote for Liv Morgan, which is good to see. Also, Noob says, my interest for this match very low because the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour storyline and Liv's second title reign is already weaker than the SmackDown Women's title run. Ooh. Now you give us a real talking point here, Noob. Do you agree or disagree with that? I don't agree either.
I can't agree on the base. I think the original one where she cashed in on Ronda Rousey of all people and then had to have a rematch with Ronda Rousey, that was stupid because she was really booked weak in that feud. At least with this one, she has, do you know what I mean? She has the numbers game. She has a load of factors that can help her win championships and retain championships. I think she's been booked so much better. Plus, the story that we've had with Dom turning on Rhea and joining Liv, it's just been so much better. And the fact that Liv's been a constant thorn in Rhea's side for best part of a year, I think this has been a much better and more interesting storyline. But I get what he's trying to say, is the fact that Liv obviously really shouldn't, her stature and stuff, she really shouldn't win matches. Do you know what I mean? She should be dominated by everyone. But they're booking her in the correct way that make her look strong.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it depends how you look at it from a literal point. So, Noob said there is booking like a weak champion because she's not probably able to win matches on her own, which then you turn and say, well, actually, I have to agree with you because she can't win matches on her own here. However, from a character development side of things, for me, it's much more interesting to watch than squeaky clean babyface Liv was. And I was a big fan of babyface Liv Morgan when she cashed in and everything like that. But I do feel that this heel side, like you say, along with the Judgment Day, now Raquel's come in as well. There's been sort of little things that have kicked in and just kept this storyline moving. The only thing I would say is that I do think now it's starting to become a bit rinse and repeat on Monday Night Raw every single week. Maybe it's not something that should drag out to WrestleMania.
I don't think that's personally her fault, because I think the idea is that they're teasing splitting up the Judgment Day, and that I think ultimately is the problem, because they don't know. I don't think they know how to do it. I mean, the dirt sheets are reporting that Carlito is going to be the first one to go, and it's like, I don't see the point of splitting these guys up. I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe they don't have anything for them, but what do you do with them once you split them all up? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing for them to do. Like, what, JD goes into Intercontinental Championship, the scene, and it's like, how can you put him in that scene at the minute when you've got Bron Breakker in there, and like and Jey Uso, JD's just not at that level at the minute, and it's kind of, let's say Carlito will just fade away into existence. So I think they're just booking themselves into a corner by trying to break up the Judgment Day.
So this is where I stand with it. The first week, last 2 weeks on Raw, but this was the first week last night where I was sitting there going to myself, literally, I'm like, I think I'm ready for the Judgment Day to split now. I feel like they've run their course. I don't feel that the rebrand of the group has worked as strongly. I think the few of the Terror Twins has been very repetitive, but I do think there are ways and means that you can make it obviously drag out a little bit longer before the break does happen. Carlito is the one I worry for most. I would say that, but I would keep Finn and JD together as a tag team. I think that is working quite well as a dynamic. Both have a lot of experience, and I think that they add strength and depth to a tag team division that arguably is starting to be booked a bit better in WWE, but has been treated quite weakly in recent months, and certainly the last calendar year. And I think Finn Balor's been a staple of those tag team titles. When it comes to Liv, Raquel, and Dom, they can go off and do their own story. They don't need the other members anymore. They just don't sort of fit together. It's almost as if they've all outgrown the situation. And I think Dominic Mysterio has arguably the potential to be the biggest star of the lot of them, because he's proven it. He already is, yeah. And I think that, you know, he did an interview with Logan Paul a little while ago. I mean, even talked about the idea of, if once he's broke away from that, if creative lands them on the same brand, those two would like to be a duo. And I think, to be honest, that would probably draw a lot of money, because everybody hates both of them.
Agreed.
So, you know, I think it's the sky's the limit really for that. But yeah, I think past WrestleMania this group is done. But personally, there is even starting to be an argument that after Survivor Series, that group could struggle just a little bit. But that's a very interesting talking point, Noob. Thank you for that. That's definitely give us a good excuse to give a bit of back and forth for the last 5 minutes or so. Ray's at House Ray, hope you're doing well. Asking, when do you think Tiffany will turn babyface? When she cashes in the briefcase, I would say, is probably the time that's going to happen. They're going to probably build it up to the point where you need to see her cash in that briefcase. The second that she does it will be the execution. I would like to say latest Royal Rumble, but I think she walks into WrestleMania as champion. I will say that now.
Yeah, I think you've got to find an opponent for Nia, really, that can essentially push Nia to the limits and give her a challenge to the point where, I don't know, like I said, it's all depending on who they book with Nia more than anything. That's the key factor in that story.
Could it be Charlotte Flair when she returns eventually?
Possibly.
Could be indeed. Mackenzie, agree with this comment that's coming for us now. Jade Cargill was not boring. She's learning and getting better. I agree with that comment.
You said before, man, the fact that she's been wrestling for what, 4 or 5 years, and she's still in the process of learning to become a wrestler. Like, she looks like $1 million, man. And yeah, obviously it's very rare that we get someone who walks into the wrestling business and takes it like a duck to water, like Logan Paul being the exception at the minute. Do you know what I mean? It's very rare to find someone who does that, and it's a case of just give her time, she'll be okay.
I think give her time as well. And I think, like you said there, like, not everybody can have 10, 15 years on the indies, then come in and then have their time to shine and break out. Jade's arguably learning on the job each and every week. So she's done well, because she only had like 60 matches in AEW, and now she's in WWE. She's probably had no more than 30 in WWE, probably on television. So, sorry?
Most of them have been tag matches as well.
Exactly, and it helps gain the experience. So I think when she gets a true test will be when she breaks away from Jade Cargill. And Hassan, very nice comment to say there. It's nice to see you too. And nice to see everybody in the video as well. Thank you all for your comments and your chat as well. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm on YouTube. It helps grow the channel. You know, all the good stuff that we'd like to see for a small YouTube channel that's looking to grow. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we will go on to the next match. Will come up eventually.
It's up on mine.
Feel my it's up on yours. That's cool. Cody Rhodes then versus the Ring General Gunther for the WWE Crown Jewel Championship. I'm certainly buffering a little bit over here, so I will pass it over to Alex Steve in a moment. But what I will say quickly, obviously the two champions, to WWE champion Cody, world heavyweight champion Gunther, and they've made this quite personal. Obviously, Gunther is quite a salty when it comes to the micas, and he's saying that Cody has to get everybody to love him. The second he doesn't do all these big media appearances and stuff like that, or with the moment everyone turns on him and he realizes that he can't be this top guy that he imagines in his head, Gunther, when it comes to all these media appearances, has got the guts to say no. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think this is going to be a fun match between these two. Like I said earlier on, it's the match I'm most looking forward to at the start of the stream. But it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out when it comes to the match itself.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm trying to work out who will benefit more from winning this match. I mean, personally, I think Gunther does. I think Cody needs a loss to almost keep him human in terms of who he's going to come up against in the future when it comes to defending that championship. I don't expect any sort of interference in this. If there is, it'll be KO, but I highly doubt it, just because if you're going to do the women's one and the women's one looks like it's going to be an overbooked mess, I really don't want to overbook mess matches for essentially Crown Jewel Championship. So I'd like to think this will stay clean between them both, but I think Gunther is going to win ultimately. Just like I said, he just needs to humanize Cody and just keep him, like, make him look like he's not a wrestling god. Do you know what I mean? He is human. He can be defeated, and I think that will play more. That will do more for Cody going forward in terms of story and opposition. The fact that the doubt, like, he'll have that doubt in the back of his head that he can lose a match because he would have lost to Gunther at this Crown Jewel event. Yeah, we're having technical difficulties.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can't hear. Oh, there you go. Yeah, now we are. Yeah, now we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. I don't know what's happened on my side. All I know is that the computer nearly wants to crash on me. It's not charging properly. So hopefully things change with that in a couple of seconds' time. The charger looks to be in properly now. But I'll give my take on the match, and hopefully I'm not repeating you. But the key for me, obviously, is Kevin Owens going to get involved in this match. That's probably the big point with this one. I think it would be interesting to see if that was to go down, because it would help build further, especially depending on match placement of the night. If Cody watches Randy Orton get taken out by Kevin Owens, what happens if KO gets involved in his match as well? I think that would be a great story beat for a match for them two at Survivor Series. However, and I think I heard you say this, we've had it's a guaranteed heel winner in the women's match for a Crown Jewel champion. Therefore, I think we need to have a babyface winner for the men's one. So I'm going to go for Cody to win this match. And also, the interesting note there is then, obviously, Triple H celebrating with both King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi the last time they were there, which was Gunther and Nia Jax, predicting both of them to lose this time around, that someone else gets the handshake in the middle of the ring in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but this is ultimately the problem with these matches, is that no one cares about these titles. I've seen loads of people be like, we're either never gonna see him again, or we're not gonna see him again until next year. And I think ultimately this is what disappoints me with the whole idea of the Crown Jewel Championship, is that, dude, genuinely, these will probably turn up on Raw Monday night, which means Gunther will probably win. This is why I'm going to say Gunther wins. It will show up on Raw Monday night. because I believe that's also in Saudi Arabia, and then we'll never see them again. Like, well, we won't see them again until next year. And this is again the other thing is why these championships won't mean anything, because it's not like you get to defend it the following year. It's a case of whoever is champion at the time will go for it. So I don't know. Oh, apparently he's dropped out. So let me have a look for some comments quickly while I wait for him to come back. But I said that Crown Jewel Championship just doesn't mean anything at the minute, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. And it's just never going to be seen again. And what's the point in having a championship that no one's ever going to defend? Because this essentially goes back to the greatest Royal Rumble, and we had that green belted championship that Braun Strowman won. Did we ever see it again? Nope. And I got a feeling it'll be exactly the same with these. We won't see them again until next year. But they have no substance to them. It's not like it's a tournament. Like AEW, when they have the Owen Hart tournament, it's a tournament. You have to go through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people to win that Owen Hart tournament. This is just, oh, you're champion at the moment. You can fight for this title. And it's like next year, Gunther and Cody may not even be in this position. So why even have them go for it?
So obviously I've not heard nothing for a good few minutes, so I'm going to have to take your word for it.
Basically, I just said that these titles don't really mean anything because they won't fight for them again next year if they're not champion.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, that's the thing. The whole idea is it's kind of like a World Cup, isn't it? Depending on what or World Series or, I don't know, Super Bowl. Just because you're the champion doesn't mean you're guaranteed to be there next year to defend it. And obviously, like you say, these championships for that reason. I mean, this is almost as if it's like a Heritage Cup. Your name goes on might be printed somewhere on the belt, but then you won't see it next year if you're not the champion. So it's interesting how they're going to do it. Yeah, this title means nothing. As looking at the championship, are you a fan of the title itself when you look at it?
It does look nice, but the problem is it's got Crown Jewel written across it. It's got the color green on it, and that color is kind of tainted now when it comes to WWE. And I respect that they're trying to make a big deal out of it, but while you was doing whatever you needed to do, I just said it's got no substance to it. It's got no meaning. It's not like it's like I was saying, the Owen Hart tournament. You have to go through a tournament to win that thing. This is just a case of conveniently, you're champion at the time when we're going to Saudi Arabia to do Crown Jewel. You're automatically having a match for this title, and it's like, what's the point if you can't defend it? Which is another reason why I think Gunther's going to win, because I think Raw's in Saudi. He's going to show up on Raw with it, and we're not going to see it again until next year, if ever again.
Good shout. Very good shout. Although the WWE draft does seem to have gone a bit weird the last few weeks. Everyone seems to be turning up everywhere, so you never know who's going to quite be where at the moment. So there is a chance Cody could appear on Raw still. But you make there's a good argument there.
Probably because, like I said, if Raw's in Saudi, they haven't got to worry about getting back to the States till Friday, so it's not like they're in a rush to get back. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to stick with Cody. And like I said, for my reasons, I think we need a babyface champion, and hopefully everyone could hear me when I was saying that earlier on. But let's go into the comments anyway and see what everyone has got to say regarding this. We've got a couple of questions that have come in as well. In fact, none of it's actually on that match, so we'll just go through the questions. Would you like to see the Machine Guns defend their SmackDown Tag Team titles at Motor City Machine? Why not?
It would have made sense for them to win it there. I think it would have been an even bigger reaction. But dude, I called it. I said they were going to win them tag team titles. I'm calling for War Raiders to win them world tag team titles as well. It's just fortuitous and it's foreboding. You can just see it happening. I'm so glad. Like, they released a couple of behind the scenes documentary style videos this week of Sabian and Shelley arriving at SmackDown, winning the championships, then going to WWE headquarters. And it's nice to see two guys that have put in the graft for such a long time ultimately get the reward. It's just so nice to see.
Certainly is indeed. Yeah, it's really good to see, and hopefully they have a nice lengthy reign with those tag team titles as well, because it's certainly a good starting point for them, and it's really good for the tag team division on SmackDown as well. And Mackenzie asking, who do you prefer to turn heel, Bianca or Jade? Bianca would be the preference.
Bianca would be the preference. The problem is I don't think Jade's got enough to get over as a face at the minute. So I would say between these two, it has to be Jade at the minute.
Completely agree. There's no point in me repeating. Silka's got it 100% on that one there. Also, Damage Control needs to go their separate way. They need a mid-card title to make a new storyline. I enjoy Io and Kairi as a tag team, personally, but I do think Damage Control certainly could do with a bit of a mix-up, maybe when Dakota and Oscar come back, because this group, it does feel like it's lost its shine a bit.
Cheap plug here. Go and watch our WrestleMania 41 predictions card, and I will tell you how they introduced the Women's Intercontinental Championship. That's how they should do it.
There you go, indeed. And just in case anyone needs to see the thumbnail, just because now I'm back up and running, that's the one. That's the video there. It's already available for you to go and check out. But do make sure to stick around for the time being, because, well, we've got the main event to talk about in a couple of minutes' time. And that will be involving Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey in the Bloodline. And obviously, the question here is, do you think KO gets involved? Roman comes out and helps Cody against KO. That's an interesting note as well there. I personally don't think so, because I think Roman's got enough to worry about himself on this show.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to bother touching KO with the Bloodline, and not until probably after Mania, I would have suggested. His whole shtick at the minute is being let down by his friends. I think, like you said, you touched on the Sami Zayn thing earlier. I think depending on how the Bloodline story goes until Mania, that's KO's first story after Mania should be Sami Zayn.
Be interesting to see how it's all going to play out, but certainly a fun suggestion nonetheless, Ray. But let's go then to what will be the main event of this show then. And I've got a lot of questions that's going to come with this one, so bear with me, everybody. It is, of course, the six-man tag team match. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso reunited, going against the new Bloodline. So 3 of these 4 members will be taking part: Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Tonga Loa. Judging by the graphic, you'd imagine Tonga Loa would be the one sitting out. But before we go into winners, losers, people interfering, all the rest of it, obviously, we know that Roman Reigns took a break after WrestleMania. We know that Jimmy Uso was taken out by Solo, and that was the introduction of Tama Tonga. Jey Uso broke away from the Bloodline a year ago, so he was going to do his own thing on Monday Night Raw. Became a main event talent, became a tag team champion with Cody Rhodes, reunited his friendship as well with Sami Zayn. He's also gone on to win the Intercontinental Championship, challenge for world titles. But of course, recently he appeared randomly on SmackDown around the Bloodline once Jimmy had returned to help Roman, and they were being outnumbered every week. There looked like there was a teaser of something that would play up anyway, and it came to a point when Jey Uso was going to have his rematch against Braun Breaker on Raw for the IC title, and surprise, surprise, yes, the new Bloodline came in and cost him that match. Of course, it got to SmackDown, and we've mentioned the Motor City Machine Guns winning those tag team titles from the Bloodline. That was, of course, of the help of one Jey Uso. So we're 1-on-1 when it comes to losing championships. And of course, now Jey and Jimmy have reunited. Of course, now we're at a stage as well with now Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. We've had a discussion on Monday Night Raw about will Jey and Roman make up. Jey has pretty much said that he's willing to kind of at least listen, hear Roman out. And the match has been made for Crown Jewel. I know that WWE wants to do Bloodline versus Bloodline at Survivor Series, but is this one being a bit rushed?
No, because this is going to be one of them matches where it's just going to be an overbooked mess. And it's kind of like, it's going to just be chaos. It's going to be screwy. And there's like, do you know what I mean? I'm expecting people like The Rock to maybe turn up, and do you know what I mean? After Raw, Sami Zayn might get involved, and do you know, Paul Heyman might come out with the OG Bloodline. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that could go wrong in this. We might even get new members of the Bloodlines joining. Who knows? Like maybe, I forget who the one in Hikuleo. Do you know what I mean? There's so much that can happen with this. Like, it's gonna be an absolute bat crazy match, and I'm just like, this doesn't end clean either way. This is gonna end dirty. It's gonna end messy. They're gonna build to that Survivor Series match. That's what they ultimately want to do. I mean, for me, how do we get to Survivor Series from here? I think for me, you have to have the heels win, I think. Because I can't see... If Roman and the Usos win, there's no point in Survivor Series or War Games happening. So the heels need to win ultimately. They need to do something. They need to win this match. They need to, again, bring the OG bloodline back together, whether it be Sami Zayn, whether it be whoever. Like this, there's still some building for that. So to get to that point, new bloodline will win. How, I don't know, but I got a feeling it's just going to be an overbooked mess.
I think overbooked mess is certainly something we can expect for this match. But to answer the question, has the reunion of Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso been rushed? In my opinion, yes, it has. Now, is it to do with the fact that they wanted a crown jewel? Is it the fact they want to do the War Games match at Survivor Series? Either way is irrelevant for me. The fact is that there is such a story to tell. There's such a length of time they took to break up Jey Uso away from Roman Reigns, to then do the feud with Jimmy and Jey at WrestleMania, to then simply just quickly make up, because Roman returned at SummerSlam, and then they told a long, dragged out story to get to the point where we got Roman and Cody as a tag team to go against the new bloodline, because Roman had just himself against these members. Then Jimmy Uso made the return. And I feel now, although there is some interesting parts of WWE TV, like I'm enjoying the idea of Sami Zayn of where he's going to lie in amongst this situation, at the same time, I do feel like it should be a case of where, okay, Jimmy is forgiven, as always said he's going to be by Roman's side. Totally fine with that. But Jey and Jimmy, yes, they're brothers. I know it's blood, but there should be a bit more upset and unrest there. But especially with Jey when it comes to Roman,
Yeah.
I mean, he said this time round, if they're going to do this, they're not the sidekicks. They are, full-fledged people. People know who you are, than who I am. Now we're going to go and we're going to kick some butt, and we're going to be, all equals in amongst this if we do it. I want to see friction between Roman and Jey. I want to see that Roman is the OTC, thinking that he's getting the numbers back on side, and I want to see Roman pretty much try and boss Jey Uso around to the point that Jey isn't wanted, because Jey wants to yeet. He wants to do his thing. He wants to be what he's been the last year, which is kind of a free man to a certain degree to do what he wants.
He doesn't want that bloodline entrance. He doesn't want to come out as united as the bloodline. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's how I want to see the bloodline win here, because this group with Roman, Jimmy, and Jey need time to gel. They need to get back on the same page completely. They can align and team together, but I don't think they should win unless they are fully cohesive once again. But if I know WWE, I think that they're winning this match, because I don't see how the new bloodline does it. The beatdown happens after the match, but I'll say what I'll say. I'm going to agree with you. I want to say the new bloodline win. However, I do feel like it's been rushed. I would like to have seen this all dragged out. I feel everything's been thrown into 4 weeks, which they had about 12 weeks to do with. SummerSlam was at the start of August, and we're now at the start of November, or end of October, start of November with this show. And I feel like the last 2 weeks of Jey and Roman, that could have been a story that could have played out for months. I just think it's a bit disappointing.
The time factor has really knackered this, because you could still have OG Bloodline lose, and you could still end up having a one-on-one match between Roman and Jey for respect. Do you know what I mean? And you could have still done that angle and built towards it. But the point that Survivor Series is round the corner, I don't think there's enough time to do it now. So you're putting the doubt in my mind now that I think the OG Bloodline could win this. It doesn't make sense, because there's no reason to do War Games then, because they've won. What's the point? The story's over. It's done with. I think, do you know, I think the smartest thing to do would have put Sami Zayn in Jey's position instead of having Jey in this match. Having Jimmy, Sami, and Roman in the tag team, and have them three do it, and have Jey be the last man that, do you know what I mean, ultimately is the final piece of the puzzle. So yeah, you're right. They probably have rushed this way too quickly. Yeah, I can't believe I'm seriously doubting now that the new bloodline's going to win that now, because that's real. Honestly, I think that's actually going to tick me off if they do, because it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. I want Solo's bloodline to win this match. I want friction between Jey and Roman. I want a beatdown after the match because the numbers is also too much. And we asked the question. We saw him Monday Night Raw solo talking to Sami Zayn. Look, it's in Saudi Arabia now. Like Sami Zayn is like a hero over there. I want Sami to come out and make the save, and that's how you solidify War Games. The fact that Sami helps because Jay's told him, "You're not family." He may say, "Do you know what? I'm not family, but I get it because I'm Monorius. I'm someone that's been there by your side. I've been in the trenches, and that's how you get your 4 versus 4, and those 4 stand tall at the end of the show with the new bloodline having to retreat, and that way, then it does set up War Games." But it would make more sense for the new bloodline to win the match. However, WWE being WWE, my head can't get past Roman's team winning because of the fact that they win, they get beat down after the match. Sami makes the save. That's what I think is going to happen. But I'm going to go with heart over head, which I've done a couple of times in this stream today. I'm going to say the new bloodline win, continue the beat down after the match. Sami makes the save. Babyface is down till at the end of the show. War Games is announced to end the show as well.
SmackDown will be an interesting finale because it's like, even though it's pre-recorded this week, with everything that happened on Raw, I don't even think Sami Zayn makes the save. Again, this is why I've gone with LA Knight winning the United States Championship. It's why I've gone with the tag team titles changing hands. Like, these are all the happy moments for the crowd. This show has to end on a sour note, and it has to end with new bloodline standing tall.
Absolutely. Well, I think Kai might have seen the SmackDown spoilers at the time saying that they do make up this Friday, apparently, if that's the case. And for me, that's just like cool, but again, praise and doubt, it's too rushed. Too rushed. If all the feuds and matches those two have had, if they just simply we're mates again now. That doesn't work for me.
Again, which is why they need the loss. They can't go back to having in-ring chemistry like they've been tagging this whole time. They need to have a loss and they need to suffer.
They need the loss. They then need the beatdown. This is my opinion, by the way. Not saying, like, if people disagree, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But I think, like you said, I think Roman and Jey need to not fully be on side. Jimmy needs to be the middle person. That costs them the match. Jey also can take the pinfall, or Jimmy, either or. Perhaps Jimmy takes the pinfall because then it's even more like those two look and say, "Well, it's your fault." No, it's your fault. Yeah. It's your fault. The beatdown happens after the match. Sami makes the save. We've got 4 versus 4. The new bloodline have to retreat. Then it's said on the mic to end the show of Crown Jewel. This needs to end in War Games. And it's just then the idea of like, whoa, okay, right now we've got Roman, Jimmy, Jey, and Sami. For all of the rush that it's been, actually now it comes to a case of, right, we now all need to get along. Sami says, like, I'm the Honorius, so I understand, Jey Uso, why you're doing this. That's why I'm here as well, because we were a family. Actually, when I was here, I felt like this was family. I felt like I was part of this. There was people chanting, that they wanted Sami Uso. There was times for that. So I'm part of this and I'm with you. I'm going to battle alongside you. And then during the next 4 or 5 weeks that we have between now and Survivor Series, you can actually work on building the relationship between Jey and Roman in different ways. They can have a tag team match on SmackDown and they may win or they may lose, depending on what happens. They still have to find a way to make things work. And the night it clicks is War Games itself. And that's the way that the OG Bloodline beat the new Bloodline.
I don't even think they win at War Games, if I'm honest.
I mean, it depends if one Dwayne The Rock Johnson makes his presence known.
I think if they want to drag this story out more, they even need to lose at War Games. I think they need to still try and almost keep Solo strong and build it for WrestleMania.
He needs to be as strong for as long as possible. The problem is that Solo has lost 3 times already since SummerSlam. He lost at SummerSlam. He lost the cage match. He lost at Bad Blood. It's starting to feel like that Roman versus Jacob Fatu is going to be the bigger match rather than Roman versus Solo. But if you can keep Solo strong enough up until WrestleMania, you can at least keep him going till then. I'm not going to see in the character work of Solo Sikoa, though. He's been a lot stronger in the character work recently. But yeah, it's interesting.
Definitely.
Anything you'd like to add to the I think I've rambled on quite a lot with this one.
This is like a really weird one, and it's like you're hoping that they just don't screw up the booking pull the trigger going one way instead of the way they really should go.
I think for me, the thing is that this is the match everybody wants. It's the match everyone wants to see at Survivor Series. But I think that actually the way that we're building a match up to about 4 weeks ago was very different. And I think that it got to a point of with Triple H liking longer term booking and doing this. It's like you can make this wait a bit longer. We don't have to rush into it. I think where it's been rushed into it, it's just I don't know. I don't want to say it's spoiled it, but it's just it's not as good a
You
television
could
as
have done
it could
so
be.
much better.
Yeah, it could have dragged out and it could have had more interesting. Everyone loves when there's a little nugget from the bloodline in there, some Easter eggs of a little twist and turn. Oh wow, you're gonna get out of this one, and then all of a sudden, boom, something else happens. You go, damn, what a great segment. Yes, it's taken an hour of SmackDown, but bloody hell, that was brilliant. And you don't care. You just want to see the next bit. And I don't feel we've had enough of those moments here, but time will tell. Hopefully, it will continue, get on the right path, and we'll see how we go between now and Survivor Series. But that's pretty much our predictions, isn't it, for Crown Jewel? So you're going for the new Bloodline, and so am I.
It's nice to see that we've gone elsewhere on a lot of the other matches. Like, it's quite refreshing, really, because normally we do quite agree for most of it. So it's going to be, I suppose, a good show in that anticipation that, do you know what I mean? Almost like a rivalry here, Steve. Like, it's you versus me.
Who's going to win the Crown Jewel Championship coming out of this?
Jeez.
Yeah,
hang on a minute. Whoever wins get this little trophy.
There you are. Timestamp this moment, everybody. What I would say is that also a number of the matches are SmackDown on this show, and obviously with SmackDown yet to air. Although you are aware of what's happened more on SmackDown, I don't know any of the spoilers. Although may have seen one now in the comments, but at the same time, I don't know winners of certain matches. So therefore, it's all a bit like I don't know. We'll see who's going to win at the show. It's not as clear as it would be. It's like watching Raw last night.
Yeah, I mean, I only know the one spoiler, which is the major one, but it's kind of negated when they've already announced the match. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a bit like, oh, okay. We already know. And the weird part, they didn't mention on Raw either. So it's like we had to see it after Raw. So it's just like when I first saw it this morning, before I actually seen Raw, then I saw Raw and it wasn't mentioned. I checked WWE.com. It then wasn't on there. I was like, is this match really happening or is someone just trolling me? So I had to go and search it. And then it was actually on WWE's social media feed, like with Instagram. And then it was on X as well. And it's just like, okay, fair enough. We got there in the end. But yeah. Interesting stuff. But that's all from us pretty much there for this one. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. All that good stuff really helps. If you missed any predictions, then rewind to the start of the video. It's actually quite an in-depth one we've gone with this one. It's been a fun one as well. And always good to have you on board, and Steve, for the ride.
Yeah, we did have some technical difficulties in the middle, but we got through it. So all good.
It's always the way, isn't it? Unfortunately, sometimes with the bigger videos. But 2 questions before we close things off. First one from Sid. Have you met any wrestlers and interviewed them? I met Bailey in London, said Sid. Amazing that you've met Bailey. No is the answer for me.
Unfortunately not. Like, I'd love to do the meet and greet. No, I say that actually. I've met a couple of New Japan stars. I've met them. I've been like in proximity to them. I've been close to the pit. Who's the pitbull? Ishii. Yeah, but I've been close to the Stone Pitbull. Do you know what I mean? I've been in the vicinity. Like easily, like I've been to indie shows for Rev Pro, man, and easily could have met half of these guys.
Absolutely. Something that one day would love to do is interview wrestlers, but it's not something that's on the radar just now. But never know, watch this space. Never know, it might come on the channel one day.
AEW press passes.
Absolutely, all that. That's what we're looking for. And David Bennett says, "What is the better show, Raw or SmackDown for you?"
I don't know. It's a hard one at the minute because I'm not like the Raw 2 hours is still weird for me. So NXT is the best one at the minute.
Secret option C there. You feel like you were a TNA guy for a minute there. I'll say Raw. I do think Raw has been consistently the better show. It's been the best show in 2024. It's gone to 2 hours, which I don't think it's been to everyone's taste. I actually like it. I know not everyone gets their TV time, but I think if you were to do a draft now, I think that everyone that should get TV time would find their way of getting TV time. That may be harsh on some of the lower card people, but I prefer 2 hour shows. I've ended up finding myself wanting more at the end of them, so I'm quite happy. But I think Raw has been better than SmackDown during 2024, but could turn around and make a late resurgence now that the Bloodline storyline has really gone into full gear with Roman's return and looking like we're getting Bloodline versus Bloodline for War Games. Yeah, thanks for the questions. Thanks for everyone getting involved. Like I say, do hit the like button and make sure to check us out for the review, which will be later this week as well. Also, just some other videos you can get to us as well before we do one last question that has come in for us. Halloween Havoc review is available for you now. That's on the channel, obviously, with Trick Williams winning the Devil's Playground match against Ethan Page. We've got a rewind as well where we go with the 1995 Halloween Havoc. Look at the Yeti in all of his form and Sumo Monster Trucks as well. Just for the lulz, you need to check that one out. And as well, of course, WrestleMania Vegas match card predicted. Myself and Lennox Steve predicting the entire match card for WrestleMania 41. And I can tell you there are some great matches and fantasy booking in amongst that. Is something you're going to want to check out if you haven't already. Last question then from Sid, and we wrap it up. What is better, WWE, AEW, or TNA? All are fantastic in their own right, but for me, I am a WWE guy first.
I enjoy WWE more at the moment.
Same. If I had to have WWE, if I had all shows put in front of me and I hadn't seen anything for a week, I would watch WWE first.
Yeah, it depends on what it's whether you prefer the wrestling side of it or the story side of it. Obviously, you and me have watched WWE for the last 30 plus years, and it's kind of like it's what we've grown up on. So it's kind of like we're more drawn to the, well, not really drawn to it, but we enjoy the story aspect of it as much as we do the wrestling.
Absolutely, yeah. It's tradition. I think it's hard to break that tradition as well. But Trips has been doing some great stuff with the pencil as well. Even if we have been a little bit questioning on a few booking decisions on this particular stream, but that's all from us anyway.
It could be worse.
It could actually be a lot worse.
I'm going to steal something from SCU, and it could be 1995 Halloween Havoc, and which is by far the worst pay-per-view I have ever seen.
There you go. I've seen worse, but it's great fun. There's a bit of banter on that one, so yeah, do check out the review if you like that kind of thing. If you like some rants, but yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. On the whole, it's been a fun one as well as always. Take care, look after yourselves. We'll see you for the next video. Peace.